I've heard a lot of bad Star Wars takes, but this has to be the worst. When people complain that the Star Wars prequels have too much politics, I genuinely have to stop myself from giving in to anger. Too much politics? What does that even mean?
Too many notes. I don't understand.
Contrary to popular belief, Star Wars has always been political. I mean, it's called Star Wars? War is kind of political, guys. People don't just go to war for no reason. Even in a fantasy world, there needs to be a very good, well thought out reason why two groups of people would fight each other. Seriously, can you imagine Star Wars without politics? You know what? Some other time. But hey, I hear you say, what about the Phantom Menace? What about the taxation of trade routes?
The taxation of trade routes?
You gotta admit the taxation of trade routes is boring. Well yeah, you'd be right, the taxation of trade routes is kind of boring, except for the fact that the Phantom Menace is not about the taxation of trade routes.
I don't understand.
Remember the part where the Jedi came to negotiate the taxation of trade routes only to discover that a corporate entity had illegally invaded a sovereign nation, enslaving and oppressing and killing the people who lived there?
Your people are starving.
The death toll is catastrophic.
The negotiations were short.
Some people seem to genuinely think that the Trade Federation invaded Naboo because they were protesting a trade dispute, and no, they didn't. They very obviously didn't. It was a lie. They invaded Naboo because they wanted to make money. Obviously they're taking orders from Darth Sidious, but they wouldn't be working with him in the first place if they didn't get something out of it.
We should not have made this bargain.
They're a corporation. They like profit and money.
I have the Senate bogged down in procedures.
While Darth Sidious keeps the Senate distracted, they exploit the planet for all it's worth. Palpatine gets to exploit sympathy for the Naboo in the Senate.
I feel confident our situation will create a strong sympathy vote for us. I will be Chancellor.
While the Trade Federation gets free money. As a trade corporation, they benefit greatly from forcing the local government to agree to a trade monopoly on their terms. Also, they are very clearly plundering the planet's riches. Viceroy Gunray is literally sitting in the Queen's palace. He's sitting on the throne. He's stealing their stuff. This is just pure evil.
Victory!
You know, corporate entities using violent colonialist tactics for profit is not entirely unprecedented in human history.
It's just good business.
Now, I'm not saying that the Phantom Menace was a direct allegory for a specific political conflict. The truth is, that would not be giving George Lucas enough credit. The storytelling of Star Wars uses archetypes, cultural symbols, and recurring motifs. A farm boy is given a magic sword by a wizard so that he can become a knight and rescue a princess from a fortress.
I'm Luke Skywalker, I'm here to rescue you.
That's why it's often been likened to a fairy tale. Luke Skywalker is the archetypical hero.
I'll never turn to the dark side.
The Empire isn't just an allegory for one historical evil empire, it epitomizes the very concept of imperialism.
You did something very interesting with Star Wars. The good guys are the rebels. They're using asymmetric warfare against a highly organized empire. I think we call those guys terrorists.
When I did it, they were Viet Cong.
Were you thinking of that at the time?
Yes.
So it was a very anti-authoritarian...
We're fighting the largest empire in the world, and it was the same thing with the Vietnamese. The irony of that one is, in both of those, the little guys won. And the big, highly technical empire...
The English Empire, right?
The English Empire, the American Empire,
yeah,
lost.
Yeah.
That was the whole point. But we never learned from England or Rome or a dozen other empires that went on for hundreds of years, or sometimes thousands of years. We never got it.
Damn, George Lucas is kind of based. In The Phantom Menace, the Trade Federation is the archetypical imperialist corporate entity, financially profiting from the suffering of an oppressed people.
It's just good business.
The Naboo are the archetypical oppressed people. The invasion of Naboo isn't just an allegory for any one event or situation, it's inspired by many stories of oppressed people throughout human history, rather than any one particular group or ethnicity. Though I'm not gonna lie, seeing this political body participating in genocide denial while listening to the very people who are doing the genocide, it hits a little different in 2025.
I object. There is no proof. We recommend a commission be sent to Naboo to ascertain the truth.
What invasion? There's no proof of an invasion. We should set up a committee to figure out if there's an invasion happening.
The death toll is catastrophic. We must bow to their wishes.
Even as a kid, I could feel Padme's frustration. The way these people endlessly debate over the correct course of action, ultimately deciding nothing, allowing bad actors to clog up the proceedings with technicalities and loopholes.
The point is conceded. Will you defer your motion to allow a commission to explore the validity of your accusation?
I've come before you to resolve this attack on our sovereignty now.
No one in the Republic is willing to do anything to help the Naboo. That is, except their own people, the disregarded Gungans.
Gungans not dying without a fight. We say warriors. We say got a grand army. That's why you know liking us, Mr. Dinks.
Politics isn't just something for government officials to debate about in government buildings. Sometimes politics is something you do.
This is your arena. I feel I must return to mine.
Sometimes political action is required.
This is an unexpected move for her.
The Gungans are marginalized people. They are a force to be reckoned with, but no one takes them seriously. They are ridiculed and disregarded.
We are no like the Naboo. They think their brains so big.
But the truth is, both the Naboo and the Gungans suffer equally under foreign imperialism.
You and the Naboo form a symbiont circle. What happens to one of you will affect the other. You must understand this.
Padme shows the Gungans some long overdue respect, and in doing so, earns theirs.
You shall not think you are greater than the Gungans.
She brings both peoples together so that they can work to overthrow the invaders.
Now, Viceroy, we will discuss a new treaty.
Through political violence, Padme is able to free her planet from its evil oppressors.
I call it aggressive negotiations.
I think we call those guys terrorists today.
Unfortunately, even though they won, they failed to cut off the head of the snake.
I will be Chancellor.
Palpatine is, of course, the archetypical big bad.
You will be destroyed.
He is evil incarnate, but he's also a politician. He profits indirectly from the invasion of Naboo, his own planet.
If this body is not capable of action, I suggest new leadership is needed.
Now they will elect a new Chancellor, a strong Chancellor.
He manipulates the situation to squirm his way into a position of power that he will exploit for the rest of his life.
I love democracy. I love the Republic.
The Clone Wars is the defining conflict of this era of Star Wars, and it was entirely orchestrated by Palpatine, Darth Sidious, secretly controlling both sides of the war.
Everything is going as planned.
This war was manufactured. The Separatists had genuine grievances with the Republic. The corruption that Padme contends with in The Phantom Menace is an indication of just how broken the Republic truly is.
It is clear to me now that the Republic no longer functions.
The Separatists want to secede from the Republic.
More and more star systems are joining the Separatists.
They want to protest the corruption by divorcing themselves from the Republic altogether. But this movement is effectively hijacked by Count Dooku, who is of course working for Palpatine as the apprentice of Darth Sidious. Palpatine manipulates events on both sides to create two gigantic armies big enough to plunge both the Republic and the Separatists into the most destructive conflict the galaxy has ever seen.
This war represents a failure to listen.
And he does it just to exploit their fear. The perceived threat of the Separatists allows Palpatine to take more and more emergency powers.
Well, that can only mean less deliberating and more action. It will make it easier for us to end this war.
To enforce more and more oppressive strategies, all in the name of security.
Security and continuing stability.
The Jedi, another threat, another enemy, traitors and villains, just like anyone else who would dare oppose the Empire.
If you're not with me, then you're my enemy.
The Emperor is Satan, he is the epitome of evil, and in Star Wars, evil is a charismatic politician who promises peace but delivers war.
Once more, the Sith will rule the galaxy, and we shall have peace.
Yeah, you say peace. I kind of think you mean the other thing.
You have a great line, which is, so this is how liberty dies.
With thunderous applause.
It was a condemnation of populism in a science fiction context.
That's a theme that runs all the way through Star Wars.
Does any of this remind you of anything? It should. This isn't just an allegory for a certain infamous dictator who happened to die during World War II. This is Julius Caesar. This is every populist politician who ever lived. This is happening right now all around the world as we speak, and sure, you could sit there and smugly write a comment complaining about how unsubtle all of this is, but I know writers who use subtext and they're all cowards. This is a space opera. Star Wars has never been subtle. That's why it's so much fun.
Only a master of evil, Darth.
Yes, Star Wars is a movie for 12-year-olds.
It's a film for 12-year-olds.
But just because something's made for 12-year-olds doesn't mean it has to be stupid. It just has to be accessible. and Star Wars is so unsubtle that it becomes unambiguous. No matter how convoluted the story is, children can always follow these films. And as a 12-year-old, these films taught me a lot more than just life lessons about growing up. These movies forced me to think about how people in positions of power make decisions that affect everyone. They made me think about the benefits and shortcomings of different political systems.
I don't think the system works. We need a system where the politicians sit down and discuss the problem, agree what's in the best interest of all the people, and then do it.
That's exactly what we do. The trouble is that people don't always agree.
They made me imagine the frustration of living within a corrupt system.
The courts take even longer to decide things than the Senate.
But more importantly, they gave me a framework to understand the politics of the world I lived in, and I just keep noticing more and more details as I get older.
I think science fiction is so good at these kind of social themes.
Star Wars is political, and that's a good thing.
Oh no, I'm not brave enough for politics.